Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tonight Show podcast for today, the 12th of December, live on YouTube tonight. We've got a busy show full of news and also plenty of sporting news as well regarding a very interesting event. I'm joined by Blake Parth, Sports Zach Jones, around all latest news. Hello, Zach.
Hello, Charlie. Hello, mate.
And welcome back, Zach, to the show as well. We missed you last week. And of course, I took over last week's show. But we're both back tonight as a duo, so we'll be recapping the news. And Zach, I'm going to start straight off now with some news this week. Syria has been the main talking point because former President Assad has fled the country, and I believe they're appointing a new prime minister as we speak, or he has actually been appointed now.
Yeah, I said it was going to be one of the things to watch out for in the next couple of weeks when I was last on. Just a couple of weeks ago, and I was right. It was more than right, actually, given what happened there. But yeah, Syria is no longer under dictatorship rule of President Bashar al-Assad. Well, he is former president now, because he has fled the country. The Syrian rebels finally took what they wanted, and that was Damascus, and therefore took over the running of the country as well. Let me explain. The reason why I've been going on is that Russia and Ukraine have been busy, caught up in their own storms, focusing on Ukraine, Russia, Iran, and everything like that. All the proxies that are propping each other up are basically, too busy doing other things. And what's happened is that we've had the simple scenario where everyone's distracted, nobody can do their proper jobs, and the Syrian rebels are to seize the initiatives as well to take over power, which is, some say, is good. Others are treating this as a skepticism of concern, or this is a good news, but we need to see more to see whether the situation is actually going to get better or not. But we have seen the absolute mare that's been left behind by the former President Assad regime, from the state of human rights to just generally families missing their children, their loved ones, their older ones, and everything like that, to how people were actually treated inside Syria. We've seen so much now over the last few sort of days that sort of sums up the state of how Syria treated its own people, how the government treated its own people at the time. And we've seen people being stuck up in cells, torture, being gassed, having been burnt even as well, not being fed. I mean, the pictures coming out of some of the prisons, like including the largest prison in Damascus, for example, has been quite upsetting and extraordinary to see. It is a very diabolical humanitarian catastrophe there, with what's actually happened and the way that people have been treated. And I just think, wow, they actually treated their civilians like this. I know it's quite something that President Assad, who is famous for using chemical weapons on his own people, could conflict such misery, horror, and barbaric acts on his own peoples in a way that sort of we haven't seen before. It really was awful to look at. Families crying. One prisoner didn't know what a smartphone was, which is the way that the regime has been treating people. They've been battered, they've been bruised. But many of them have seen their families again, which is great to see. Many of them are starting to see their loved ones. They're starting to reunite. It's worked well. This is for Turkey as well, I have to say, because many Syrian refugees that come from Turkey are now returning back to Syria because they know President Assad is no longer being in charge. For those who are wondering who the person that did this rebel, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham is the Syrian rebel group that took over Syria and overthrew the Assad regime at the moment. That's the Assad. That's the party that overthrew Assad. They are, for the benefit of the people that are watching this, they are a designated terrorist organization. So you think, oh yeah, it can't get much. They're going to go worse. Well, yes, it's not great that they're led by some former Al Qaeda rejects and or ex Al Qaedas that have changed politically over the years, but we don't know that actually, to be fair. But they've used to be a part of Al Qaeda, and it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see, I think, what happens with them. Do they moderate? I mean, we've seen the evidence so far in Idlib when they were running a very small part of government there, that they could moderate, but they need to show it in terms of action across the whole country now, and in terms of what they do. So Syria's future at the moment, I think, is very uncertain. It's still uncertain. There's a lot going on, and there's lots to be seen. I don't expect all the sanctions are going to go away quite as quickly yet. For the Assad, from Syria, and from the American governments, the UK governments, all that sort of thing, because they want to see that Syria has managed to change effectively and can have the speed to be able to do it. But one thing we know is that Syria, for now, a lot of people feel delighted and relieved that Assad has been overthrown. By the way, if you're wondering where he's gone to hide in the Russian rich mine of Russia, and given a political asylum there, which sums it up really. He escaped, well, even members of the government even knowing as well, because the overthrowing, the advance of the rebels and HTS, especially last week, was just so fast. It's generally astonishing, and it was done in the early hours of Sunday morning when they managed to get to Damascus. Everyone surrendered, and they just went from there. It was just, speed was astonishing to see how fast they advanced from IRTL, with little to no defense from Assad allies, including Iran and Russia. So I have to say, this may be the start of another bit of a Syrian revolution, hopefully. But like I said, we need to see whether HTS will stick to their words. And I hope they do. I really hope they do for the sake of their civilians, and the country as well. But I hope that they keep to their word, and we can finally see a better Syria for many of those involved.
I just want to say, Zach, last week they were advancing closer to the capital. Now they've taken it over and completely overthrown Assad. I just want to say, this guy here, Ahmed al-Sharawa, or Abu Muhammad al-Alim, he's the new leader of Syria now, from what I'm reading up here. And obviously, that's because he's overthrown President Assad, who obviously inflicted terror regimes across Syria, bombings. I think at one point he even helped out with Vladimir Putin during the Syrian conflict of, I think it was 2015 or 2018 or something. Russia played a part in Syria years ago. I remember that very well, actually, because I've spoken about it on this show before, with Russia and Syria and that. So, yeah. I mean, it is. I think it's going to be a welcome relief. Obviously, terror. This is a country that's had loads of wars over the years, and obviously our armed forces personnel go over there and actually risk their own lives to fight over there in wars and stuff. So, it's certainly an interesting change. But please comment down below, guys, what you make to that news, because there's certainly been a lot of developments this week on the news regarding that. Because I have to say, it's certainly been interesting on that one. Moving on now to some news locally now. I want to talk about this. Now, on Tuesday this week, did anyone travel up Sadler's Farm Way? You'd have heard the A130 had a massive crash. I was stuck in traffic. In fact, it took me over an hour to get home from Lakeside the other day. And I was stuck in Basildon for nearly 20 minutes in terms of doing less than a mile in 20 minutes of traffic, being stuck in gridlock and standstill traffic around Basildon. This is what we learned the other day. Essex Police have, of course, announced that they have referred itself to the conduct body. According to this, it comes as the force referred itself after 4 people were injured in a road crash from a police pursuit. Officers were called to reports of knives sent to the address of villages in Alfbourne, Essex at around 1:10 Greenwich Mean Time on Tuesday, with the 2 suspects leaving the same car. Officers followed the vehicle before it collided with a van on northbound carriageway of the A130 at about 1:50. 2 people injured in each vehicle and said to be taken to hospital, Essex Police said. None of the injuries sustained by those in the van or the car were thought to be life-threatening. A driver and a passenger in the car were arrested on suspicion of aggravated burglary. Yeah. Oh, that. I saw the comments on social media about this. It was a horrible accident, from what I read up. The roads were literally gridlocked around the county. I had to go off the A13 and onto the 127 because there was reports of the traffic. Zach, what do you make to this? This seems pretty horrible.
Yeah, it was a bizarre accident. I don't think it's been a very good week for incidents on Essex highways, actually, particularly as well. I'll come on to that in a minute today. What happened today, actually. But yeah, the A130 the other day, I checked this on the map, and it was really bizarre to see what was going on. There was some sort of incident in Alfbourne at 1:10 p.m. and it had 2 suspects leaving the scene in a car. Officers were called to reports of knives. They then followed the vehicle onto the A130, and then the vehicle itself, I think, collided with a van on the northbound carriageway about 1:50. There was 2 people that were injured in each vehicle, and they was taken to hospital as well, with the driver and passenger arrested on suspicion of aggravated burglary as well. Now, given the nature of this incident, of what happened, the police have referred themselves to the conduct body to see whether they acted in the correct way regarding this incident as well. It was a really surprising incident as well. And I just want to mention as well, because I mentioned there was the fact that it's not been a good week for in terms of motorway stuff and the Essex highways. Let's talk about the M25 today. Both carriageways on the M25 has been shut because of a severe accident. There was an accident building all the way back to junction 30, which is obviously where Lakeside is, and junction 27, following a crash between a car and a pedestrian. And it's not known why this happened, but the road, I think, as I speak, Charlie, let me see if the road is still open or closed or not. But there was a big accident on the M25 today as well that forced the M25 to close, and it caused a lot of problems on the roads today. And I have to say, there's a lot of incidents going on this week across the roads, and I don't know what's really particularly happening. It seems like city drivers.
It's horrible, honestly. This is a horrible accident. A pedestrian could have got killed in this.
Yeah, and it's just bizarre actions are going on between certain drivers and, you know, whoever they get involved with. Like the knife incident involved in Alfbourne, that was peculiar to say the least. What has happened there as well. But yeah, and as I'm just putting this up, Charlie, on the maps, it looks like the road, the M25 is still closed according to the map. As well, I don't suspect they'll reopen it today.
Yeah, it looks like we've got an update. It's saying it's still expected to be closed for some time.
Yeah, so clearly a lot happening and a lot going on, which is forced the closure of the M25. So yeah, I mean, it's a ridiculous pair of driving going on this week, Charlie. We're on our roads as well, and what's happening there. I think my computer Wi-Fi is now working, Charlie. So what I'll do is I'm going to switch to the computer now, and I'll rejoin you on there.
That's okay, Zach. I just want to say as well, the update between junction 29 and 28, traffic, motoring services, Imric said that one lane is closed on the carriageway or the motorway there, and it is reported that that part of the road is still shut. Oh my god! I mean, it's just crazy. Like, you know, what could we say? Like, this road is still shut between these two junctions, 29, 28. 28, 29. That's the one, two. That's like A12 junction. I mean, oh my god, horrible. You know, crashes like bad. You know, as I said, the one in the A130 the other day, I was caught up in that for ages. It wasn't even near the A130, but because of how congested the roads were and how much traffic there was, it spread all the way across Basildon. So parts of Essex even ended up having slow traffic on other major roads. So, yeah, not been a great week if you are on the roads in Essex. Just be aware as well, guys. I just want to warn you, over Christmas, please plan your travel very carefully, especially if things like this do happen, because you want to take note of travel running over the Christmas break. Please make sure you take aware of that, because traveling over this period will be busy as well. So that's the end of that news. Now, moving on now to some other news really in UK politics this week. Obviously the main story really has been the Assad thing, really.
The sad collapse,
The Assad, obviously Assad being overthrown. What I do want to talk about this week, I'm going to go on to this, okay? Let's talk about I'm going to talk about immigration now. Now, Zach, Rupert Lowe put a question to Yvette Cooper the other day in Parliament. I was watching a clip of this on YouTube about mass deportations, talking about a couple of I don't know who it was, but a couple of people, like illegal immigrants who crossed over, who committed crimes. And he was talking about the fact that they hadn't been like claimed asylum or whatever and didn't get sent back. And Yvette Cooper responded to the question. What did you make to her response to Rupert Lowe's question from the Reform UK bench?
Yeah, I think really and truly, hopefully the figures are available for Rupert Lowe to see, because I would have thought that based on the conversation that he had, and he's been asking so many trying to get so much departmental questions he has submitted, that he'd get an answer. I don't even think he has, but obviously with him, he's obviously very sort of effective. Well, not what you say effective, but he's very in depth for the amount of questions that he wants to ask to departments, especially the Home Office. And one of the subjects is immigration. I just feel like, very picky he is asking those questions. He knows how to answer one of them. I'll tell you that for certain. But yeah, I have to say, Yvette Cooper, every time a Reform MP asks a question, I don't think she takes any prisoners. And I think with Rupert Lowe, it's an example of that. I think as well. You have to point out the accuracies of what she's been saying. But I hope on immigration in general, I hope that one of the things I would like to see is at least an effort, bit more effort, maybe the hotel asylums to be closed. I think as well, and the thing with the series as well, and this interlinks, by the way, is I think one of the things we're going to be looking out for is whether this serious scheme is going to be extended a lot, because in the future, with a new government there, and probably a softening of rhetoric, if this government does as well it has done in the first few days, then that scheme's probably going to be removed, and they'll probably start rejecting asylum claims from Syria, which they have now paused. But yeah, but the question is, how long does the Syrians in the UK stay for now? Do they get deported? Do they stay? Is there circumstances where they'll go back? Will they not? I don't know. We'll have to see. But Rupert Lowe, especially on his questions about immigration data, yeah, very, very picky, shall I say, on that one as well.
And it's been a busy week, Zach, for politics regarding. Well, it's not really been. I'd say House of Commons has been general debate on normal issues, but for me, the big news this week. Obviously, we've had another farmers' demonstration as well. More tractors have been out in London this week as well. The other thing I wanted to mention was Nick Candy joining Nigel Farage's party. Another signing for Reform UK now. Obviously, they are building more MPs, but there's also been a lot of, I don't know how to word this, but there has been a lot of interesting conversation about behind the scenes from some right wingers about the fact that reform, because apparently there was a question about this figure about alienating Muslims by 2050, and stuff like that. This was in an interview that I heard what Nigel said. I mean, Zach, what do you make to this new appointment for them, Nick Candy?
First of all, Nick Candy, we should mention he used to be a very prominent Conservative Party donor. So it's not surprising they're getting all people from the Conservative side into Reform UK to try and prop up their financial operations. But as well as that, I mean, Nick Candy also used to, just as recently as well, donate to even the Labour Party, giving a few figure sums there as well. And I think, if I remember, his reform figure sums, he donated about £1 million, if I remember rightly, that he's donated to Reform UK as part of his first donations to them. He clearly feels like there's a future with reform, and they're going in the right direction in terms of policy wise. But yeah, £1 million, and he's obviously been sitting down for interviews with the broadcasters, particularly this week as well. In terms of Farage, I mean, he comes across very touchy in his interviews, especially when asked by some of the questions about, Sky's Beg Rigby, for example, asked about James McMurdoch, particularly because that's a very real example of how the procedure of picking candidates seems to be very flawed in Reform UK. Where we obviously saw those odd bods, especially a lot of candidates being dropped in various constituencies because of the stuff they've said online or been caught found out saying as well over the previous years. And James McMurdoch as well, obviously the one of the case where he wasn't being a little bit not really truth telling in terms of why he actually went to prison. He called it misunderstanding when all it was beating up his girlfriend. What was it? Was his ex girlfriend at the time? I mean, yeah, it was ridiculous, but yeah, he's very. Farage is very touchy in his interviews, and he can't answer a question very well, especially on the processes when he was brought up by Beth Rigby. He resorted to attacking media and all that sort of things as well. And I just think it's a bit weird and bad that it gets resorted to that rather than actually acknowledging that there was an issue with the process in the first place as well. And just like, I listen to him and I think, yeah, okay, you could be good on this, but you're just rubbish. And especially on the process, it was very, very bad interview in terms of Farage. I mean, the Nick Candy came across quite well in terms of why he donated reform, but Nigel Farage did not particularly come off that brilliantly, I have to say, given of his comments as well. It's just one of the areas that Farage really does need to prove on, because obviously he's very tetchy otherwise when it comes to difficult situation. He just gets a bit stubborn up and a bit, oh yeah, it's your fault, not mine, sort of thing. So yeah, rare for improved Farage, but anyway, a significant financial contribution from Nick Candy, I have to say, in terms of the amount he donated to reform. I mean, it's gonna improve their chances in terms of getting candidates onto local elections, which is happening in May. And yeah, that's going to be extremely helpful for him.
I've got a question now, Zach, and this is about what has been said in the press this week about Labour. Do you agree with Shabana Mahmood that our prisons are getting too full?
Yes, I agree. We've seen, like, especially the prison figures as well, that prisons are getting full. We're having to release prisons earlier because they're literally there's no space for them. Now, I'm normally against releasing prisoners early because of the crimes they're committed. But when you've got a situation where you've got no prisons, literally no prisons, you cannot, and you've got to take action on this as well. you can't just sit there and do nothing. You've got to build the prisons, which was a failure of the last Conservative government. You've got to actually give them decent sentence. And it tells you something in society where we're going to run out of prison space, despite the fact we're going to start building plenty more even after those prison spaces have been built as well. That's what Shabana Mahmood admitted yesterday, actually, in several interviews, that after she announced that she was going to start building 4 new prisons, I think, across the 4 different counties of England, as well, and it'll be classed as critical infrastructure on the national planning framework, which means it can't be blocked by NIMBYs or whatever as well. So I agree with that. I think it's important we build more prisons, and anyone else moaning about the fact that they're going to have a prison built next to him, well, it's either that or have no prisons altogether and complain about the crime in your street. So, yes, I think society has failed us with the point where we are building prisons, but we're still not going to have enough prisons anyway. And that's why I think the sentences are being reviewed by David Gork as well, as part of an independent review. But yeah, I think that it's bad when prisons are being built or not being built, and we're having to let actual criminals out early into the street because there's just simply no space for them, because there's no space for the others. I think that's a perennial aspect of why our justice system has completely failed in Great Britain.
It's not ideal, really. Well, I mean, look, I'm not going to give my view on this. It's a question that is down to a social media post or down to something. I'm not going to comment on it, but it's a very interesting topic, and I think definitely Parliament will have some say on this. I think, Please comment down below, guys, what you make of this. Now, time for our planks of the week. Zach, I'm going to start with you this week. What your plank of the week is?
I've got 2 in my mind, actually. I'm going to make up for the fact because I was going to make name an obvious one a few weeks ago, and then couldn't get around to naming it because I don't know why I forgot about it. But there's 2 for me at the moment, or 3 actually. I'll come on to the third one in a moment. So the first one, obviously, President Assad or former President Assad. Plank of the week for me, the first one, for the obvious way he's treated his people, and for that he's fleed off like a little baby, not being able to be claiming asylum in Russia, not being able to be held accountable for the crimes that he's committed on him and the people of Syria. Number 2, I've got to name this person a few weeks ago, so I'm going to make up for it today. Greg Wallace, definite plank of the week, second plank of the week, for a while just being just a perv, an utter perv. There is professional standards and television shows and the people that you're speaking to. Greg Wallace, as much as he is good with the food, takes the puns and the dirty words too far. Or in fact, he's a bit more than dirty, actually. It appears there's a lot of inappropriate things he said whilst working at the show, and it's only been brought up. Hence why he's suspended and not working at the show at the moment. The third one I'm going to give it to, this is going to get even a bigger plank of the week for me, Manchester City and Pep Guardiola. The plank of the week for me. We'll come on to the sports in a minute, but I'll give you the stat here. No win, only 1 win in the last 10 games. That is unheard for Manchester City club, and it's a pretty incredible state of affairs when it goes that far as well. So there's my 3 planks of the week for you.
Manchester City certainly lost the other day. I can confirm in the Champions League that was a loss as well. And yes, I will also give I will put that on there as well. I think for mine this week, it's Assad, definitely. For me, it's an easy one after he fled Syria. So, yeah. I mean, also as well, in terms of who else I'm going to give it. Oh, I'll tell you one more I'm going to give my plank of the week to. And he's probably on his way out now. Sergio Perez. It, for me, was a disastrous race in Abu Dhabi for the Mexican driver. Yeah, he got taken out by Valtteri Bottas. Bottas will also get my joint nomination for having an absolute shambolic race in Abu Dhabi as well. But, I have to say, Perez is certainly going to be out facing the axe at Red Bull, I think. I'm sorry to say this, but he's just been terrible last season. He done really from Imola onwards. He really struggled to get in the points. Max Verstappen was much quicker. I know Verstappen and Piastri did collide. Oscar Piastri collided in the first lap. More on that in a minute when we do the F1 and that. But yeah, not ideal. So they're the nominations for Plank of the Week this week. Moving on now to the sports news. We're going to start off with a footy action now. Obviously, as well, on Sunday, we have the World Championship darts starting as well. Thought I'd just let you know on that PDC World Championship starting on the Sunday as well. Any of you watching the Ali Pali action over the next couple of weeks, enjoy it. Certainly will be interesting. Arsenal, Everton, Wolves, Ipswich, Newcastle, Leicester, Liverpool, Fulham, Forest, Villa, Brighton, Crystal Palace. The big game of the weekend for me is the Manchester derby, City and United. Both teams need a big result out of that. Southampton, Tottenham, Chelsea, Brentford, Bournemouth, West Ham. Also as well, some of the highlights last week. Leicester once again drawing against Brighton. Ruud van Nistelrooy continues his 100% start. Also as well, Everton and Liverpool got postponed because of Storm Darragh hitting parts of the UK. Hope to all those people who've in Storm Darragh, I hope you've all recovered from that storm, because it was a pretty horrible storm from what I heard in parts of the country. Fulham and Arsenal drew, Crystal Palace, Man City, West Ham beat Wolves, Chelsea beat Tottenham, some of the results from the weekend as well. Also as well, I'll do the European football as well, because in terms of the Champions League, come on to that in a minute. Conference League, currently at the moment, in that I think Tottenham and Rangers were playing in the Europa League. I'll come on to that as well.
Yes.
Chelsea are in action tonight.
They've
their
actually
one.
been in action. There we go. 3-1.
3-1. Yes, Chelsea currently. Oh, that's actually full time. Chelsea have won 3-1 in their match there as well. Hearts unfortunately have lost 2-0 against Copenhagen in that one there. Meanwhile, in the Europa League as well, Rangers and Tottenham, I believe,
They're
were playing.
drawing 1-1 at the moment, Charlie. I've got on my TV as well. They're drawing 1-1 at the moment as well. And if I remember rightly, Manchester United won earlier
Yeah, correct.
as well, 2-1 in their match as well. I just want to mention the Champions League result, if I remember from the top of my head. Arsenal won against Monaco. Juventus won against Manchester City, so that released Manchester City in a bit of bother as well in terms of their result, because they're now, I think, not far off from the elimination zone at all. Aston Villa, I think won. I think they won their match, I think, as well. And so did Liverpool. Yeah, Aston Villa won their match against RB Leipzig
3-2.
As well. Yeah, 3-2 is there as well. And Liverpool won against Granola away as well in terms of that one. So Liverpool was all but through, by the way, in terms of their result. I mean, they just need to pretty much win the next match and they're definite through. Chelsea are definitely through to the last 16 now because of their win this evening. That means their next match against Shamrock Rovers is a dead rubber. But it means they're definitely through anyway as well. But so yeah, the big ones to look out for next round in the Champions League are the games with Aston Villa, Manchester City, as well. Oh, I should mention Celtic drew as well. That's the other one in the Champions League as well. But I should mention as well that Aston Villa, Celtic, and I presume Manchester City, Aston Villa as well is going to be the ones to watch. And just to update you, Charlie. Oh, maybe not. I was going to say there was a goal just scored by Rangers, but they've just been ruled out for offside as well. I'm going to keep an eye on that one, actually, because I've got this on two screens. Yeah, it's offside. But yeah, that's still going on at the moment. But yeah, there's lots of things to look out for the next round of European fixtures. The Europa Conference League group stage ends next week on Thursday. And I should also mention, whilst I'm here as well, Charlie, in terms of football next week, the EFL
I forgot
Cup
to
is on
mention
next
as well,
week.
Mikel Antonio had a crash the other day as well.
Yes, best thoughts to him as well. Really horrible crash, I should mention as well. And I really hope he's recovering well. But yeah, the EFL Cup returns next week as well on the Wednesday and the Thursday. It's the quarterfinals there. Arsenal, Palace, Newcastle, Brentford, Southampton, Liverpool on the Wednesday next week, and on Thursday next week it is Tottenham against Manchester United as well. So yeah, that's the EFL Cup for you, and obviously that's, as I mentioned, the final round of the Europa Conference League fixtures, which is basically a dead rubber for the remaining English side, Chelsea. There, so it's going to be. I suspect they'll put out a weak team for that on next week on Thursday as well.
Yep, so that's all the football. I pretty much go over the Premier League fixtures there in a nutshell. So yeah, that's all of that. Now, Formula One now. All we're going to be talking about after this now is driver news. Anything that comes out of F1 we'll talk about. So, final round in Abu Dhabi. We're now complete the F1 season of the Christmas Cracker. We'll say Christmas Cracker. It was an Abu Dhabi race. Charles Leclerc earning for me the driver of the weekend. Question, obviously, for him performing, getting from towards the back of the grid to P3 at the checkered flag. But in the end, Zach, McLaren win their first Constructors' Championship since 1998. Congratulations to the team as well. Certainly proud of it this year. They've done really well being a McLaren fan myself. And, I have to say, Ferrari were close. They were unlucky. Red Bull had a difficult end. But the race start, very chaotic, wasn't it? First lap got very tight between two drivers at the front.
Yeah, and I have to say, Max Verstappen deserved a penalty because he pretty much revealed himself to be an Italian fan, shall we say, in that instance as well. If Ferrari won the Constructors' Championship, you might as well play the Italian and the Dutch national anthem if that happened. But for some, they would say, thankfully, it didn't happen at all. But yeah, congratulations, McLaren. Finally, they have won a Constructors' World Championship or a title of some sort for the first time in very much years. I mean, the Constructors' Championship, the last time they won it was 98. So it's been ages, absolutely ages, since they won a world title there. And it's well deserved in terms of that as well. And the effort they put into the season. They didn't have it all their own way, as I mentioned on Sunday. We had that lap one incident between Verstappen and Piastri, which is definitely Verstappen's fault. And there was no reason for Verstappen to get himself involved in it, given the fact that, there's nothing for him to play for. And in the fact he pretty much interfered in the title race as well. So poor Oscar Piastri finished in 10th. And I just complete unlucky.
He did get a penalty as well, unfortunately.
Yeah, he did get a penalty as well. And I think he drove into the back of Colapinto.
Yeah, unfortunately, he retired. What was probably going to be his last F1 race for now.
Yeah, and I feel sorry for Colin Pinto because he's done well. And I think given the circumstances and, it's a shame to get a top seat, especially the likes of Sergio Perez, who DNF'd in that one as well. He's suffered through the season and pretty much cost his team the Constructors' Championship. Hopefully, he will find out he won't be around for too much longer, and I rather hope he isn't because of the way he's performed over the last few races. It's really bad as well. Bottas also finished as a DNF as well. Liam Lawson finished his time at RB with a DNF. Is he going up to Red Bull next year? Who knows? The rumours say he's going to be the one that replacing Perez, which I don't think it's a bad choice. I mean, we could hope to see more out of him if he is that case, but we need to see more of him, I think, on that one. But congratulations, Lando Norris, who won that race in convincing style. Carlos Sainz, second. Leclerc from 19th on the grid to third. An incredible drive. And they did all they could, Ferrari, and they did really well. And it was just the maths went against them at the end of the day. As well. So yeah, they did well, but it just wasn't enough. With as long as Norris won, then he would be easy world championship. Constructor title contender as well. Lewis Hamilton finished his last ever race in Mercedes in 4th position. He also did an excellent drive through the field as well. Really good job given the tyres and everything like that. George Russell was 5th, overtaken on the last lap by Hamilton. Verstappen, again, that 10-second penalty cost him was 6th position. Gasly was 7th. Hulkenberg 8th. Alonso 9th. Piastri 10th. As we mentioned, Alex Albon 11th. Tsunoda 12th. Joe Guanyu, 13th, Lance Stroll, 14th, Jack Dillon in his first start replacing Esteban Ocon was 15th, and Kevin Magnussen was 16th as well. So, yeah, that is the 2024 season over. We did have the postseason test as well, just after a few days after that as well. And that one, the times there, I can't remember what I didn't see any times for that one. But, yeah, that's it for F1 in 2025. Sorry, 2024. Goodness me, I'm getting a year ahead of myself there already. And we're going to view to 2025. The first major event to look for is the F1 75 event at the O2, and then pre-season testing in Bahrain in February. And the first race of the season next year is not going to be Bahrain itself. It'll be back in Australia in the middle of March, Charlie.
Yep, day after my birthday, 16th of March. The F1 returns, 16th of March. It'll be Australia. Yes, I'm a Celebrity was there the other week. Just confirmed Danny Jones was the winner of I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here for 2024 as well. So, done the clean sweep this year. The Masked Singer, The Voice UK, and I'm a Celebrity. Zach, before we move on,
Brilliant.
what do you make to Danny Jones winning I'm a Celebrity?
I'm not surprised. I mean, he was clearly the favourite going into the season, and yeah, I think he showed why he was the favourite with some of his talks and everything like that as well. He was a lovely campmate. He really was a helpful team member. He was fun to be around. And yeah, that's the reason why he won as well. I just want to confirm, Charlie, that the game between Rangers and Spurs now finished full time, and it's 1-1 between the two of them.
1-1, a draw between Tottenham and Rangers. So very close in that one, I can presume. So yeah, certainly an interesting match from there. So yeah, now it's time to discuss something very important now, which we're going to talk about this in just a couple of minutes' time, because I'm going to play for you a Christmas song before we go into the into that next part of the show, and it is going to be a short song by Michael Bublé. It says Holly Jolly Christmas. We'll see you in a couple of minutes' time.
Have a holly jolly Christmas. It's the best time of the year. Now, I don't know if there'll be snow, but have a cup of cheer. Have a holly jolly Christmas. And when you walk down the street, say hello to friends you know and everyone you meet. Oh, the mistletoe is hung where you can see. Somebody waits for you, just once for me. Have a holly jolly Christmas, and in case you didn't hear, oh by golly, have a holly jolly Christmas this year. Mistletoe is hung where you can see. Somebody waits for you, just once for me. Have a holly jolly Christmas, and in case you didn't hear, oh by golly, have a holly jolly Christmas this year.
Holly Jolly Christmas there by Michael Bublé. I thought I'd play a little festive banger in there as well. Now it's time to talk about Christmas. It was Christmas Jumper Day today. Anyone have conversation? Christmas Jumper Day, yes. Christmas Jumper Day. I've got mine on today. Yeah, my one's a bit of a comedic one. But I have got there are plenty of jumpers coming up, of course. If any of you guys have been wearing your Christmas jumpers today, please send them in, you know. All of the Christmas jumpers. I've got some adorable. I found some photos on here of some people that were wearing their Christmas jumpers today. This was in Liverpool or Merseyside today. If you're celebrating Christmas, obviously for charities, if you're donating gifts maybe to like charities and stuff as well. You've also got some Christmas outfits here. This was Fallon James, aged 3. We got Winter Rose, age 3. There as well. We've got Perla Rose, aged 4. A 6-year-old there as well. Ava, age 6, with her one. As well, but not just the kids as well. We've also got all those people who've been at work, who've actually taken part in the Christmas Jumper Day extravaganza today as well. Any of you guys have been taking part in the event. I know that South Essex College also sent a picture in as well of their Christmas jumpers. I've just got a couple of pictures. In fact, of this was Save the Children, by the way. I've got a picture here. There's some of the people here. South Essex College had their Christmas jumper photo. One of the staff actually had a West Ham jumper on. Shout out to Brad Brooks, who's the principal at Thurrock College, for donning that West Ham jumper. I have to say, when I saw the photo, I was like, yeah, certainly interesting. I've got the picture here, guys, of them there wearing the jumpers. Here we go. Oh no, that isn't the right one. I'll get it up somewhere. But yeah, no, it was an interesting design. Like, I saw it and I was like, it looked really cool. Zach, obviously, what's your message to anyone today who's involved in Christmas Jumper Day?
Yeah, I haven't been. Well, I've been working from home today, so I haven't had the Christmas jumper on. I did have it on last week. Or actually, no, was it last week? Yes, it was. I had it on last week actually. When I had I was at a Christmas gathering, with my work, and so I had it on then. I'll probably have it on next week as well because we're having some sort of pizza party in our workplace, which I'm looking forward to. But yeah, I mean, the Christmas jumpers I've seen have been fabulous. And obviously, the purpose of Christmas Jumper Day is obviously to wear a Christmas jumper, help kids get the best future needed as well, in terms of the impact and help them, those on low quality families who are really struggling to get anything festive as well. You all you need to do is wear a Christmas jumper, donate £2 to save the children, and money's your friend. And there we go. The outfits I've seen today have been pretty great, I have to say as well. A lot of very different outfits as well in terms of what I've seen as well. It's been really good as well with the Christmas jumpers and everything like that as well. Yeah, just your typical ones as well. I'm just looking at the Jonathan Lee network. A lot of range of Christmas jumpers there, festive shirts as well. It looks very lovely, I have to say, as well, looking at it, and the effort they've put into there as well. Christmas Jumper Day, Hospice in the World as well. I think there's a woman dressed as a Santa here. As well, but the outfit's very, very, very good. And yeah, I've really enjoyed looking at them.
Send your pics in. We love to see them. Honestly, like, if you put them, I mean, it's so important. Like I said, it's all about raising money, and that little bit of money can really help a difference to, anyone's life. It's so important that raising that money. I've actually got some pictures up here. I found a little article. It's not. It's the one I found here. On this, for some of the partners that Save the Children going with. This Virgin Atlantic here. Staff were wearing their Christmas jumper festive kits on Thursday. Picture of that as well. Savu, as well as also Shaun the Sheep. They're wearing his. So yeah, it's just like it's such an important day. I really hope everyone gets to actually, like, these are some of the things as well. We've also got as well some people wearing them there in Gibraltar as well. Also as well in Bishop, as well, courtesy of Christmas Jumper Day. We've seen some of their staff here wearing Christmas jumpers. I can just see here, just some people here wearing Christmas jumpers. Look at that, all the kids wearing their Christmas
That's
jumpers
lovely.
today. Just important. Send us your pics in. It's such an important time of the year. Christmas jumper day, 2024. I mean, every year is the same. Wearing a Christmas jumper can make a difference. You can go for a festive theme. You could go for a lovely theme if you wanted to. Here's some more picture. This was at Rushcliffe Spencer Academy today. A lot of their Christmas staff was wearing it over their uniform. That's at the academy there. There's a guy wearing a Christmas jumper, some Rudolphs there, some cardigans, some long sleeve t-shirts as well. That guy there wearing a Christmas suit, the Christmas jacket and a shirt, and also as well that guy wearing a film with Will Ferrell as Buddy the Elf. Elf is certainly going to be on Christmas this cinema as well. So yeah, it's certainly going to be interesting. But like I said, Christmas such an important time of the year. Even when it comes to local councillors, they may dress up sometimes as well. We've seen some councillors recently wearing some Christmas jumpers. This is another photograph that was taken today at Ellison Solicitors. They also helped with a Christmas jumper day as well. So there you go. There's some pictures there. Just about sending the money in. That's all I'm going to say. So yeah, that is Christmas jumper day in a nutshell. 2024. Yeah, certainly very interesting as well on that front. Indeed. Now it's time. We are going to do the newspapers. Paper reviews now. We've got some time to crack on with them tonight and do them quickly. Just going to go over some of the papers that have come out as well. There has been some news. The Daily Telegraph going for Prince Andrew reckons there's a spy over that as well. A spy on Prince Andrew. Certainly not ideal for him on that one. The Daily Star goes with Tory leader goes to war over the most pressing issues, sandwiches. Sarnie short on a picnic.
Please.
And the Independent goes, I helped started Syrian revolution. I'm proud. That is the new Syrian prime minister there, or the new leader. Manuel Sangwell, when he was 16, when his anti-Assad graffiti in Syria led to his arrest in 2011. Questions must be answered over an awful case. The Keir Starmer called for urgent inquiries of the tragic death of Sarah Sharif. I thought Nigel Farage spoke about something like that up there as well. I think the death of someone like that. Metro has problems pile up out to lunch. Badenoch and Starmer. That's probably going to go into a very similar review to the Daily Star there. And the Financial Times goes with NATO's European members discussing lifting defence spending to 3%. Trump's returns spurs action. Ukraine's drained military as well, and national budgets poised for strain. So Zach, what's your quick review? What's your review of the current papers at the moment?
Right, let's go through all of them at the moment. Let's get started with the Daily Telegraph, who reveal that a suspect with links to China was reportedly very close to Prince Andrew, was identified as a potential security threat by MI5. Prince Andrew has obviously got a special taste for things, not having any sweat, cozying up to Jeffrey Epstein, and now this one, a link to a Chinese spy. He was so close to Prince, he went to his birthday before MI5 identified the threat. I mean, typical Prince Andrew. Always with the wrong people and the wrong state of minds as well. Just absolutely typical of him as well. And it's not surprising to read that story as well. I mean, he's a man of many talents, I think he is. Definitely not. He went to his birthday before MI5 identified threat. I mean, yeah, look, there must be some sort of security problem here, because if they can't identify a bloody Chinese spy that's close to the prince, then there must be a security issue of some sort, that they may get cozy close to the wrong people and all that sort of thing as well. It's not a good look anyway, as well. What's else to see? The Star is short of a panic. I mean, this is the state of British politics when I see this. That Kerry Badenoch is continuing her fantastic run as leader of opposition by talking what are the real issues of what Britain is talking about. Whether or not you should eat a sandwich in the office, and whether that is considered as lunch. She dismissed British lunchtime staple as not real food. Um, uh, I cannot believe, with all the pressing issues in the world, in the UK, Kerry Baylock, as Conservative Party leader of the opposition, has managed to find time to talk about whether or not we should eat sandwiches or not in the office, and whether you should have it in a lunch break. I knew she would start culture war at some point. I didn't know it would go as low as this. Get a grip, will you? I mean, I don't understand it. I don't like. She's obsessed with sandwiches at the moment. What is wrong? What is wrong with her? Sort out like your opposition policies. Focus on immigration. Focus on crime. Focus on the economy. Come up with policies on that. Not worry about whether or not you should be eating a sandwich in the office at midday. No, wrong. Look, I knew she'd start culture war at some point. I knew she would. If it's not on, gender equality, you can understand that or anything like that, or British values. That goes against her. That one there definitely gets British values for me. Let me just tell you that for certain. Independent. I helped start Syria's revolution. I'm proud. Be proud. This is Moaya Sanaa, who is 16, when his anti-Assad graffiti on a wall led to his arrest and torture in 2011, just for putting up an anti-Assad graffiti. When everyone hated Assad at the time, and then Assad decided to respond by putting them in jail and torturing them, chemical weapons them, and everything like that. Now he talks about the small conflict spot by the revolution and the role he helped in ending it. He should be proud of himself. He started the uprising as well, and yeah, it's obviously seen the country change a lot since then, for the better. He's gone through some low periods. Syria has as well, especially with Assad. It'd be cut off from the international community with their actions and the sanctions that have gone with it as well. And I expect we could say that because look at the prison conditions that they had there as well. But yeah, now he's free. That's the main thing, and yeah, he should be commended for his role in that, getting out and finding a way to fight against the regime, and now a much more free Syria, hopefully, in many ways as well. Then there's the Daily Express. Questions must be answered over awful culture. Now, I read the story of Asara Shaheen. She's just 10. She's just 10, if I'm correct in saying as well. And, honestly, she is likely to... major fears that Murder Shira was likely to be abused were raised throughout her short life. I don't... It tells you... I don't get it. Like, why was this not dealt with in the first place? Why was there not, like, the warning signs to see something as awful as that? There is just inadequate protection of, like, vulnerable children like that. And there is severe questions to be answered of how someone so evil and monstrous could get their hands on a 10-year-old child and treat them the way they did. I don't know. It's just terrible stuff there as well. The lunch thing comes up on the Metro as well. Baden Star bat over steak and sandwiches. What she said as well. Starting she said. I think for the context, she said, "What's a lunch breaks? Lunch is for wimps. I had food in the week and eat at the same time." So she begins work and eats at the same time. Fine. I mean, if you want to eat your food lunch, if you want to eat your food during your lunch break, fine. No issues. Or just want to do it during the middle of work, up to you. You do you. But then don't lecture us all about how to eat our lunch or whether we should have a lunch break and dismiss the idea. Is she saying that lunch breaks are bad? We should abolish the requirement to give you a 30-minute break, a rest break for food and everything like that as well? Really? Nah. No. I don't want that to happen at all. Absolutely not. What else as well? NATO members discussing lifting defence rate to 3%. I mean, I guess the world as it is, viewing it for as well. I mean, 3% is ambitious, you have to say as well. I mean, Keir Starmer's new set is going to get out to the road to 2.5%, and they're all washing off to 3%. Now, does that mean we've got financial issues in this country? Obviously, yes. There needs to be more money plopped into the system as well, in terms of actually getting the defence spending as well, because the UK is going to have to build so much of this, and making sure there's the money available to actually rebuild like a military and everything like that as well, spend defence measures as well. I think with Donald Trump rapping on the sidelines as well, hoping to find something that and complain about NATO members not doing nothing they're spending. I think it's the best time really. As well, the IGO from NATO warns that Europe it must move to wartime mindset. As UK face a new Trump clash over defence spending, and the hate. I also on Mark Rutte today, who's obviously he's now the head of NATO. He used to be the former Dutch Prime Minister. She wants alliance members to turbocharge defence spending and shift to wartime mindset. That's very strong language being used, as well. And he's not prepared for possible future conflict with Russia. They're not. They're not advocating for it, but there's obviously the possibility that it could happen. So yeah, that's one thing to look out for. And I'm just reading also about the Guardian saying that some jury trials may be acting plans to ease the court backlogs. I suppose they want to, get people into prison quicker or get people out of prison quicker. In many ways as well, but again, it's still like the state of affairs in the country when your justice system isn't working, and you have to abandon jury trials as well. Could be considered a radical overhaul plan. Brian Leveson will consider creating immediate court in where cases can be heard by a judge, flanked by magistrates, in an attempt to speed up the length of the trials. That would apply to some criminal cases that are too serious for magistrate court, but are no longer deemed serious enough for the Crown Court. That's interesting enough as well. So, yeah. Again, it's not part of the measures to sort of work out, the length of prison sentences, how long they should take in as well with you. But yeah, it's not a great state of affairs in the United Kingdom as well when it comes to that as well. But yeah, that's the papers, Charlie, for the Friday the 13th tomorrow. So unlucky for some, I should say as well.
Now, Zach, I forgot to mention in my plank of the week this week, a Labour MP talking in Parliament about cousin marriage. I just want to point out what this was about. Cousin marriage. I have to say, Zach, what was this about?
What was he thinking? It's an independent MP, by the way, not a Labour MP. But I think its name's Iqbal Mohammed or something like that. He's the MP for Dewsbury. What on earth? I was like, like, how can you support cousin marriage? What? That's like advocating for you to be married, or have a husband, a wife or husband with your second brother. What is this guy thinking? I didn't know that independent MPs were pro-incest, because the culture, like people in the Middle East prefer like cousin marriage and everything like that. It is the most blatant thing to ban, and yet we have an MP in Parliament who replaced the Labour MP, by the way, who did well in their constituency, and get replaced by this tosh who advocating for falling in love with your cousin. Why? That is mate. Nah. Get out. I mean, seriously. If we're going to advocate for cousin marriage, you might as well start marrying your brother, your sister, your 6 mums if you want to, or everything like that as well, or your granddad, or the uncles that live 400 miles away. I mean, what he said about cousin marriage was ridiculous. It's a blatant thing to ban, and I think it should be banned. And yet this guy's advocating for stuff like that. I can't
To be
believe
enshrined
it.
in law,
Honestly.
probably.
Just
I mean, that's
low
crazy. And
IQ
Zach as
Parliament
well.
members, really.
There has been some news about Jeremy Corbyn this week as well, an ex-Labour leader of the opposition who's already humiliated his own Labour movement anyway, and pretty much humiliated a lot of people. There's even been plans, according to what I'm reading up, that he wants to even form a new left-wing party. I mean, Zach, Jeremy Corbyn, half or 6 of one, half and does the other, decides he wants to start potentially a new political party. Is this guy already banished enough from Labour as he is, really?
But the thing is, Charlie, this sort of thing, as much as ridiculous it sounds, starting a more left-wing party that's not become elected by independent MPs, that's not become independent anymore. By definition, they're not becoming independent anymore. They've joined a party, and they'll probably have a whip and everything like that as well. So they're not, by definition, they're not independent by then. Yeah. The thing is, it could work because the UK elected more sectarian MPs, especially in areas of Muslim majority areas like his, and a few others such as Birmingham, and a few others like Dewsbury as well, where issues like Gaza are very passionate on people's minds, and traditional values on everything like Muslim majority areas, where Labour will lost votes to them. But it could work. The thing is, it could work because by the time we get to the next election, that people might not these types of voters might not return to Labour. They might have pulled even further away from them, and there is a chance that more independent MPs end up being elected to Parliament, like him, where they advocate for cousin marriages and everything like that, as well, with ridiculous perverty and everything like that. So it's possible, as much as it sounds ridiculous, because it's supposedly a bunch of independents are forming together to launch a new party. So then, by definition, they're not independent. They're taking a whip of some sort. It's possible that they could increase their numbers. Very possible. And we should, as much as it sounds a bit ridiculous, we should not rule out the possibility that it happens in some areas.
Well, I mean, Corbyn building a new Labour, Corbyn building a new party is certainly very interesting, and I think everyone to be left desired. Anyway, that brings us to the end of the Tonight Show podcast. Thank you so much for watching. Take care and have a great night. We'll see you next time for another edition of the show. Take care. Goodbye.